Never seen the original Omen, which shouldn't matter since it's a prequel, so I'm looking at this purely as a brand new horror film. And I'll say, for the first hour, I was actually kind of digging it. I was intrigued by the idea of these sinister goings-on behind the scenes, which of course I will not spoil, but it presented kind of a religious conspiracy thriller almost. And I'm a sucker for a good conspiracy, and the good guys trying to uncover said conspiracy. So I was into it. And then we get to the third act, and there's a revelation that is extremely obvious, super predictable from the opening scene. And we get into the climax, and when it all comes to a head, and I kind of just sighed because I felt like I'd already seen it before. I recall so many horror films centered around religious convents and or orphanages run by nuns that just end up going in the same direction and navigating the same kind of horror territory as this film does. It's not an awful film. There are some pretty good things it brings to the table, like the main actress, whose name I do not know, I apologise, but she was really, really good in the film. She carries the whole thing on her shoulders, and all the emotions and all the stuff she experiences later on, she sells it, you buy it, she did a great job. And generally speaking, it's a pretty well crafted film. Once again, it's not a generic trashy horror film in that it just doesn't feel thrown together. The filmmakers feel like they're actually trying to make a good film. There are some effectively creepy moments. There is a suicide scene that was actually quite horrifying, the imagery on display. It was some pretty disturbing stuff. But for me, it was just one of those films where the over-familiarity of the story, where the story goes, where the characters go, just couldn't really prevail over the genuinely good elements that the film has to offer. It doesn't help that I've seen a lot of these things merely a couple of weeks ago in another film. There were a few similarities between First Omen and Immaculate. American main character moves to Italy, the behind the scenes goings on with the nuns and what they're up to. It's a little bit different in terms of their goals, but the actual methodology in how they're doing it is almost identical. And what the main character in each film goes through in the third act is also extremely similar. I'll say the First Omen was a little bit better than Immaculate. I didn't hate Immaculate, I thought it was okay. First Omen definitely has a lot less jump scares than Immaculate. Also, like Immaculate, my reaction to this film was disappointment because, like that film, they actually tried. They brought effort to this. They really wanted to make a good film. I've seen a lot worse in the horror genre, a hell of a lot worse, but I've also seen much better.